We're hanging out at Interstate State Park in Taylor's Falls, Minnesota, across the border from Interstate State Park in Wisconsin, with the St. Croix National Historic River,
Scenic
River running between them. So we're kind of in a unique spot here.
Yeah, the St. Croix River is the line between Minnesota and Wisconsin. And the ranger that we talked to was telling us that Interstate State Park is Minnesota's second state park. And over on the Wisconsin side, it's Wisconsin's first state park. And she said it's really unusual to have a state park on either side of a national scenic river. So this is a very unique position to be in.
And like you said, we're in Taylor's Falls, but there are no falls anymore because they basically wiped out the rapids to put a hydroelectric dam in many, many years ago. So there's no actual waterfall or anything to be seen here. But the river is pretty. And the whole reason to come to the state park is specifically to see the glacial potholes, which were formed, gosh, like a billion gajillion years ago by the glacial runoff that bored into the lava basalt rock that's here. So that was a lot of science for you, sorry.
It was, yeah, I understand it. There were cracks in the earth where lava came up and just kept flowing and, hardening, and then more flow and more hardening, and it built up over time. And that's what the basalt rock is. And then when the glaciers melted, they came through, and the rushing water, I think they said, would have been to the top of the pine trees that we're standing next to today.
Yeah, like we would be under 200 feet of water, like where we're at right now.
And then that rushing water came through, and it would get caught and create whirlpools, and that's where you get the potholes that drilled their way into the rock here. And there's some that are, the deepest one here, I think they said, is 60 feet deep. It's just a really neat experience to walk around on this stuff and see what's here. And there's a display in the visitor center showing you all the things they've collected over the years that people have dropped into the potholes.
I mean, everything from cameras, billfolds, sunglasses, marbles. I mean, we're talking going back into like the 1800s through now, and they have done excavations a couple different times to kind of dig them out and see what's down there. So they definitely have an interesting collection over the years of stuff that's been in there. And we sort of joked on our little tour today that the next time they do it, they're probably going to find an iPhone or something. You know that people have dropped down in there.
And this was not on our itinerary at all. We had a complete change of plans last night due to some just not really mishaps, but sort of travel changes that we changed our route. And we were like, well, what are we going to do today? We weren't really sure what we were going to do. And we discovered, this Interstate State Park and decided, why not? Let's check it out. We're here. And I'm so glad that worked out that way because it's been really, really pretty here.
We've talked before about sort of like the dip in travel plans, and we've heard that from others, and you just kind of flow with it. And so when we found ourselves with some unexpected changes yesterday, and we kind of got up this morning and really weren't sure what to do, and found this on the map and said, well, it's kind of sort of near the destination we were headed for. But in the end, it turned out to be a wonderful experience. I'm in a pothole.
Minnesota potholes are cooler than Michigan potholes.
They are. They don't damage your car quite so much. It just so happened that by our accidental travels here, we landed just at about the time that the ranger was getting ready to do a guided tour, and it was about 45 minutes. And I'm so glad that that worked out because she was able to give us so much more history than what we would have been able to get just from reading the signs, some backstories, some personal stories. And so if obviously it's never always going to work out that way, but check around with the rangers in the station and see if there's somebody that you can at least get some information from, or join one of those guided tours, because they are a wealth of knowledge, and the naturalists, that's what they're here for. So just wanted to give a plug to Jenny for being an awesome tour guide today and telling us a lot more about the park. So really from the moment that lava came out and was cooling and hardening into the basalt rock, there were probably some small fractures happening just from that moment because of the amount of time it had to cool. And then these layers have been here for millions of years, and they haven't stayed perfectly stationary. They've tilted, they've been shifted a little bit, and that's made the cracks and fractures bigger. And then our lovely cold Minnesota winters have done their work on it. And these little cracks and fractures get a little bit bigger every year. And you can see over time, pretty large boulders have moved and shifted away from rock walls like these. There's a really nice example of one right around the corner. It's a spot that we call the squeeze. It's like a little tunnel. You can see the pieces go together almost like
puzzle pieces. If you want to peek your head in there or go all the way through, you're welcome to. It does get narrower as you go to the other side, but it's pretty short.
You just can't be claustrophobic to go through this.
No, but it's really cool.
We're going between two boulders, essentially. Or the rock face.
The rocks split in half, and now you can walk between them. And it's about 20 degrees cooler in this little spot than it is out in the sun.
Yeah, this is like nature's refrigerator in here. That's fun, and a good reason not to eat seconds at breakfast. And added bonus I had forgotten about earlier, when we were in the parking lot waiting for the tour to start, we saw a bald eagle chasing an osprey who had caught a fish. And Jenny said that you will see that periodically because the osprey will go fishing and then the bald eagles will swoop in and steal the fish from the osprey midair. So that was just a totally unexpected thing that randomly happened.
Oh, right place, right time. And unfortunately, we didn't grab any video of it because it happened so quick and we were all just so enthralled, just staring at the sky watching it. But oh my gosh, that was amazing. That was really cool. National Geographic for sure.
So apparently if you're here at this state park, look up occasionally and you might see bald eagles chasing ospreys, which sounds totally made up, but it really happened. When visiting Interstate State Park, if you decide you want to stay in the area, there is a campground down the road from where the Glacial Potholes are. We, on a whim, decided, hey, let's see if there's any openings, and they actually had several. So we ended up with an electric site right across the road from St. Croix River.
They do have a mix of both electric and non-electric. It appears the non-electric ones are all right along the riverbank, so you'd have a little bit better view of the river. I don't think any of those were available for us tonight, so we chose that we would just take an electric site with a slight view over the neighbor's tent of the river. So we've seen the paddle wheel boat go by a number of times, seen a lot of people out kayaking and canoeing. That is a very popular activity here at the park. And so here at the campground, there's also the day use section, which is where you can rent those canoes and kayaks. And the parking lot was filled today. It's such a gorgeous day, like blue skies, 80 degrees, and there were a ton of people out on the river today.
In addition to the day use area, there is a river trail that you can take to walk along the St. Croix River, and it actually connects, it's about 1.25 miles, will connect you to the visitor center where the Glacial Potholes are. So if you were camped here, you could walk back and forth if you wanted. Sections of the trail were kind of rocky and bumpy, so you're going to watch for that and be ready for it, but I didn't think it was too bad in terms of elevation changes or anything.
Well, we say that we didn't actually walk the entire thing, so...
Oh, that's true. I think I'm doing my morning walk with my coffee on it, but the small section that we walked, elevation changes weren't bad on this side towards the campground.
There are a couple other trails here. There's another trail that goes kind of up by the road, and that would be more of an elevation change. There's also Sandstone Bluffs, which said there's at least 200 stairs involved. We did not do that loop. We were kind of tired by the end of the day here, so... But be forewarned, if you do hike that, I think it says you get a lovely view of the valley, which means to me that it's really high up. So if you want to check that out as well.
I went for my morning coffee walk today across the street from the Interstate State Park campground in Taylors Falls, Minnesota. And there's a trail that you can take up into the woods here that brings you along sandstone cliffs, which are really cool. It's been a neat little hike this morning. But the best part is it ends at Curtain Falls, which is a dried up waterfall. Apparently glaciers came through this area and carved this valley and this waterfall. But then after the glaciers melted, it all dried up in the valley here. And they said some water kind of trickles over the edge of this waterfall when it's the end of winter and you get the spring melt and the runoff comes down through here. But for the most part, that's the only time you're going to see water over this waterfall is spring runoff and sometimes after a heavy rain. Kind of neat to see it. In my last video, I said that the trail ended at that waterfall, but it actually continues up the side of the cliffs, and you can keep going and you end up at the top of the cliff and you get a great view of the St. Croix Valley. And there's a really interesting sign here that says that this valley was carved by runoff from the glacial Lake Duluth. And that lake was so deep, it was about 500 feet deeper than the current Lake Superior. And then glacial ice blocked the outlet, and the water overflowed and went into Minnesota and Wisconsin and actually carved out what's now known as the St. Croix Valley. 10,000 years ago, things looked a lot different around here, but they're still really pretty now.
I do note here, though, even though you are right on the river, swimming is not allowed in the river because there's a lot of rocks and a pretty swift current. So there's no beach area. It's not really safe to do that. It's obviously safe for the canoes and kayaks, but not necessarily to get out and swim. So they do make that a point. So it's, unfortunately, the water looked really nice today, but we didn't have a way to get into it.
As you take the river trail from the campground, though, not that far down, because we didn't walk that far down it, there are some nice little vistas you can get out and kind of see the river. And there's one that's even got a little bench that you can sit on and just kind of stare out at the river. So it seems kind of peaceful in here and quiet. Like I said, it's a small campground. I don't know if I said this or not. 37 sites. That's it. So
yeah, bathrooms are decent. I mean, I think they're, I don't know if they're original, but they're decent for a campground shower.
Well, the building looks like it was built by the WPA, and I don't say that as a joke. Like, I think it literally was. And there's a number of other shelters, like in the Deus area, there's some shelters that were clearly built by WPA that certainly have that era and look about them. So that's kind of neat to see that while you're here as well.
They've been modernized inside a little bit. I think that's what I mean, but not like they haven't been updated recently. Let's just put it that way, but they're clean. The water was warm, that kind of thing. So I think this is a nice little state park for an unexpected visit, since we had no intentions of being here at all until a few hours ago. I think this has actually turned out to be a really cute place.
It's a nice little campground. Even though it's small, it does have a dump station. It has electric. It has water on site if you need it for your RV. So you know what? No matter what happens, you never know what you're going to find. Just keep on trekking.
And we'll see you out there. There were a ton of people out on the river today.
In addition, there